Oh no. Well, I can see you now. You're clear now.
Okay.
Well, howdy do, buckaroos. How the heck are you? I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, being joined by Todd Renn. I popped this the other day. I was mentioning to Todd. I bought it because it was on sale for $5 a sec. It was Laka Laka Pineapple Hefeweizen from Horny. Horny Goat's one of those breweries. I think both of us agree that most of their stuff is rather average, but I only picked it up because it was 5.117 IBUs. They just as a German style wheat beer with a strong banana and clove note from the yeast and a soft mouth from the wheat and the malt bill and pineapple juice added post fermentation. And when I was talking to Todd about it the other day, and it really didn't work for me, but I had a 6-pack, so I'm trying to work through it. So I decided to pop another one because I have such a nice day. So what do you do, Todd?
This is one I picked up on Friday. It was the Sierra Nevada Beer Camp Across America collaboration.
Oh, nice.
And I found them, and I'm not sure, at one of the local liquor stores. And they only charged $13.99 plus tax, which I think might have been a pricing error on their part, but I'm not really sure. I haven't looked at it at any other place. But like we were talking before, I'm thinking I paid in the near mid-20s, upper 20s a few years back when they come out with it. So I'm thinking maybe they are charging people for their beer camp IPA that Sierra Nevada has.
Got a bargain. You might want to go back there before they fix.
Yeah, I might check it back out tomorrow and see. So anyway, this one here I cracked open is the Sweet Sunny South Table Beer. It's a collaboration with Austin Beer Works, Bayou Teche Brewing, Creature Comforts Brewing Company, Funky Buddha, and Wicked Weed. So there's 6 breweries, I guess, counting Sierra Nevada.
Huh, that's interesting. That's like too many cooks in the kitchen, doesn't it?
That's what I was going to say. I'm not sure how you have that such of a collaboration with so many different breweries.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how much of a collaboration it really was. It just feels like too many cooks in the kitchen. I think if you were to do a dish, if you brought six renowned chefs there and say you have to collaborate on this, I'm kind of wondering what the hell would happen.
And it kind of pours a golden, and it probably doesn't show it very well on the camera, but it almost has a pinkish grapefruit juice type color to it as well.
Yeah, actually, I can see it's a little hazy, right?
Yeah. So interesting. And I'll read just a little bit from it because I don't know anything about it. Let's see. It says the South holds strong to its traditional flavors: tea, honey, sweet peaches, and corn grits. So we looked at those culinary cues for the Southern-inspired table beer with a golden grainy malt body and complex tangy finish from the fruit, tea, and herbs. Sweet Sunny South is perfect for sultry summer sipping. And it comes in at 4.9 ABV, but it doesn't list the IBUs.
Huh. So what are the aromas and flavors on it? What do you think they're going for?
Well, right out of the gate, I get the more of a skunky smell, kind of like a.
Well, that's not good.
Well, to me, it almost reminds me of the what the hell is it called? What's the beer Jimmy Buffett has?
Land Shark.
Yeah, Land Shark has a skunky aroma. That as the Land Shark, if you've ever had one of those.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
To me, those smell skunky. I don't know what you think about it,
but it's that light, very light lager kind of feel to it.
Yeah. And that's really all I'm getting on the nose. I don't really smell a whole lot of anything but that, for lack of a better term, skunky smell. I don't get any of the sweetness or the fruit or whatever they were saying. Peaches, papaya, guava, and prickly pear. I'm not really smelling any of that. Now let's try it and see. Oh, okay, that's not bad. Tastes a whole lot better than it smells. I do get some,
It may be one of those that have to warm up to really get the aromas, huh?
I do get some of the peaches and some of the sweetness like honey flavors out of it, and a little bit of hop bitterness to it. It doesn't say what type of hops they're using, but it says corn grits, tea leaves, and plenty of sweet fruit. I do get the peaches in it though.
That's nice. There you go.
Peaches and kind of the honey sweetness. But I don't get any of the others. I don't get the corn grits and the tea leaf. But also just pulled this one out of the fridge, so maybe as it warms up, some of those other flavors will become apparent.
It's hard to tell. Yeah, sometimes it has to warm up a bit. It just the beer. So yeah.
But it is light and refreshing, though. It's not heavy. It's a light bodied beer. Definitely one you could probably sip after cutting grass or sitting out at a barbecue or something, and
So
drink.
hypothetically, if they sold that in a 6-pack on its own, is that something you'd consider buying a 6-pack of, or not?
Probably not. I mean, I could see some people enjoying it, but it's not in my wheelhouse. It wouldn't be something that I would. I mean, if the price was right, if you got 6 of them for $3 or $4, I would maybe pick it up. But
What would a typical craft beer price at $9 a 6-pack?
yeah, but I would say this probably would be in the $8 or $9 range for 6-pack, and at 4 point what I say 7.
Yeah.
I think I would go in another direction. 4.9. So it's not terrible, but it's not in my wheelhouse. It's not something I would seek out to get.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of craft beers overlook is just because something isn't in your wheelhouse doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad beer. And I think the trick is to learn the difference, is to learn beers put together well, even if it's not necessarily in your wheelhouse. Or you could tell somebody, I think it's put together well, it's just not for me, rather than it's a bad beer.
Right. And I think it's put together fairly decent. I wouldn't say it's a bad beer. It's just not one that I would somebody offered it to me, I would drink it, but it's not one I would go out to buy a 6-pack of. Which is kind of what
being a polite guy, there's very few things that if somebody offered me that I wouldn't take, but yeah, but there are some things I'd rather not drink.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you have win and roll moments, right? You can only drink certain beers, so they offer you one. So out of politeness, you think, what the hell? I'm just going to be nice today. I'm not going to criticize her. I'm just going to drink the beer.
Hey, it's a beer in the end, right?
Yeah.
But
you have those some serious beer snobs get near specific beers because they feel they're above them. For me, it just depends on the situation. If I have a craft beer choice, I will take craft beer every time. But if I'm in a situation where somebody offers beer, in my opinion, it's impolite to turn. I will always accept the beer and enjoy the fact that they offered it to me, rather than dwell on the specific beer that they offered me.
Right. And that's kind of the nice thing with these beer camp collaborations that they've done. They're very hit and miss with them, but you do get 12 different ones to try, and I paid a great price for it, so I'm not going to complain.
You got an amazing price. I've heard of folks paying $30 a 12-pack for them. And there is no way.
Well, I'd heard that was one of our other local liquor stores was selling them for that price. I was talking with another guy, and he called just to see what the price was, and he said they were asking $30 a 12-pack for it. So
yeah, that's just nuts.
If they have any left on Monday and I can still get it for that price, I'll pick it up.
But you're not going to pay 30 for it.
No, I wouldn't. No, not that I already have it. I wouldn't pick up another one for $30. So, but what I do like about that is you do get a kind of a variety. You get to taste a wide range of beers in this particular variety box that they put together with some of the, I guess, so-called top microbreweries in the country, or some of the bigger name microbreweries, I guess you could say.
I think the concept is fine, but I have to go back to I don't know if it just seems like it cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, well, this one is a little bit different this year. A couple years ago, I don't think it was that many breweries involved. I think it was just one brewery in Sierra Nevada for each beer. Now this year, I'm just wondering if they're just trying to reach out to a wider range of breweries in the country and not step on too many toes. I'm not sure what their thought was on that one, but
well, with the price that they seem to be wanting to get for it, it kind of feels like a gimmick.
Well, with that many breweries involved, I guess they have to charge that so that each one of them can get their little share out of it.
I guess it could be it too. I don't know. It seems like now, especially in craft beer, it seems like the more hype you put behind something, if you charge more, if you make folks stand in line, you have that certain faction of craft beer drinkers. I think it's better because they have to pay more and they have to stay in line.
Yeah, and really in the end, they're charging that because they know people are going to pay that for it.
They are going to pay it. Yeah. I'm not one of them.
So for everybody,
if I can pay the same price I paid for, I will buy that pack. I will not pay over 20 for it. If I can't find it for here less, in hell, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. Yeah, $20 would be about the high end for that one, I think, for 12 beers.
That's $10 a 6-pack. I'll go as high as 20, but 30 we're looking at 15 a 6-pack. Why in hell I'm going to pay that?
Yeah, and they all better be damn good beers. You shouldn't
They all
get
better
any.
be damn good for that price. That seems like better have some cattle to go with that hat. That's all hat. That's what I'm saying anyway.
I would agree with you. But it's okay. I mean, it's not great. No, it's not for me, so I can't really say it's great or not. I think it's decently put together. Now I do smell some of the now it's warmed up a little bit. I do get more of the peach smell on the nose.
Are you getting more of the aromas now that's warming? Yeah.
Doesn't smell like Peppy Le Pew or whatever's pissed in it now.
You're not getting that clear glass beer smell now. You might be too young. I don't know if you've had it too. I just remember back in the 70s, Miller High Life was the only beer at the time that was done in the clear glass bottle. Man, if you had that Miller High Life that wasn't refrigerated, you popped that thing open and it was just skunky as all hell.
No, I remember some of those for sure. I probably wasn't old enough to drink them, but I was old enough to remember smelling them.
Well, green beers can do the same thing, but it's worse out of those clear glass bottles. I just remember Miller High Life had a serious problem with that because the folks wouldn't refrigerate them. Refrigerated, oh my gosh, you pop that sucker and it was like a cloud out of that beer.
Well, to me, I think you get the same kind of effect out of Coronas.
Yeah, Corona the same way, being a clear glass bottle beer. Yeah, it's funny. Even back in the '80s, we had these craft beer choices. As far as Mexican beers went, I always disliked Corona because it seemed to have no flavor. I know there was nothing to it. Just drinking a Mexican beer, I always preferred Tecate.
Yeah, those are good ones.
Tecate had more flavor, but your Tecate you also rank with the lime and the salt and Negro, not Negro Modelo, but Modelo Especial was the same way. I mean, as far as a lighter, it was one of my favorite Mexican beers. Negro Modelo being a darker, but yeah.
Well, I always have a problem with beers that you have to add a fruit of some sort or a lime or something to make it taste better.
Yeah, I agree, but it's one of those win and roll moments, you know. If you're having Mexican food, yeah, I'll have a Tecate, put a lime and some salt in it. And it all
Right,
seems good
right.
that way.
And I'll drink those, if somebody has them, and I'll put a lime in them. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying I just think, that ought to tell you something right there if you're having to
It
add.
does tell you something. If you have to augment the flavor, there's probably something wrong with what you're doing. It's like that old, if you're going to put ketchup or steak sauce on a steak, there's probably something wrong with the steak. If you've got good meat to start with, you don't need to add anything to it.
And that's what I tell my wife all the time, especially when it comes to steaks. And I think she just likes the flavor of steak sauce because she always claims that I make the best steak. I've got her spoiled with the steaks that she'll, even if she'll buy one out in a restaurant, she's like, it's just not as good as the one that you grill. But
Yeah.
every time and I always tease her about it. I tell her she's insulting me when she grabs the A1 and puts it on her plate. I said, how can you tell me it's the best steak that you've ever had and then continue to put A1 sauce on it?
Yeah, eat it as is, damn it. But then again, I love prime rib, but I always have a horseradish sauce. So, do you think that's acceptable?
I don't know. I guess it's kind of one of those things where, if you like it, do it.
I just think that a little bit of horseradish adds flavor to meat, and I think there's a difference between adding flavor or bringing out the best of the flavor than cover the flavor. And I think some things cover up flavor rather than bring out the flavor. And that's why I like the horseradish on prime rib because it brings out the flavor of the prime rib rather than cover it up.
That makes sense. Yeah, I see that.
It's a subtle difference, but that's probably what you're doing, though. Because whatever you're cooking, whatever steak sauce you use is bringing out the flavor rather than covering it up.
Right. So, anyway, I don't know.
So we've talked about baseball before, and you've got a red shirt on. Are you young, or are you old to remember the big red machine of the '70s?
Vaguely. That was about when I was born, so I was born in 75, so.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'm guessing you've probably learned about Johnny Bench and.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was definitely, going back and reading back in time the history of the game. And, I guess you could say that was kind of my era, even though I wasn't really old enough to really follow it at that point. But that, yeah, definitely, to me, probably one of the greatest teams assembled in baseball history.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, we've talked before. I'm a diehard Dodger fan, but I mean, you couldn't help but admire the red machine of the '70s with Johnny Bench and Tony Perez and Joe Morgan and Dave Concepcion. I mean, it was just amazing. And Pete Rose, and for the record, Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. It's an injustice.
I don't care what he bet on. I don't care what the hell he did. The Hall of Fame is just about baseball ability. There is nobody ever played harder than Pete Rose. He should be there.
And that's the thing, that's the thing with me is he never bet. At least they haven't proven that he's betting on the game while he played.
No, and they hadn't proved that he'd bet against his team.
Right, and for them to keep him out on his ability of playing, based on that, is just asinine.
Well, I mean, if they're saying there are other assholes in the Hall of Fame, I guess is my point. Ty Cobb is a known racist. I mean, it's not my opinion. It's their fact for everybody to look up, and he's in the Hall of Fame. So the worst thing Pete did was bet. He was a gambling addict. He made some bets. So if that's the worst thing he did, you cannot keep him out of the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Right. Wasn't like some of these other guys where he was juicing and PEDing and everything else to beat
I
the
agree.
game, you know.
Played natural. I mean, I wasn't even. I mean, like I said, I was a Dodger fan. You had Pete Rose and go, man. He may very well be the hardest playing athlete in history. Nobody ever played harder than Pete Rose.
No, yeah, I would agree. In fact, that would be somebody I would say, if you want to model a game, or this is how you should go about hustling and how you play the game the right way, study his film, even
Well, yeah, I mean,
though
there's a reason they
70s,
called him Charlie
80s.
Hustle. There's a reason they called him
Right.
Charlie Hustle. I mean,
He didn't,
even in games that he out of it, he was still he played like it was the first inning.
right. And he wasn't one of these guys that you would see him. Of course, they didn't do that a lot back then either. It's more apparent now where these guys, you know, you see them on the field and they're standing there at first base after the guy just got a hit, and they're probably talking about where they're going to go have a beer after the game and laughing and cutting up. You know, you would never see Pete Rose do that. Well, probably no player really from the 70s and early 80s. You know, having that kind of friendship on the field, it was, I'm going to kick your ass while we're playing. After the game, if you want to talk, then we'll talk and, you know, whatever. But while we're on the field, it's game on, you know.
Yeah, and I just don't know if anybody can argue that. I mean, if you want to say he did this and it was against the rules, okay, I'm good with that. But if you want to say, well, but nobody can argue that Pete Rose played harder than anybody else of that era or any era, to be honest with you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you still look back now, and I mean, I don't know that you can, even in today's game, probably even more so in today's game, you're not going to find anybody that played balls out for 9 innings, day in and day out.
No, you watch guys today, and their team's a few runs back. They'll hit something, and they won't run that hard space. Pete Rose always played as if the game just started, whether he was 10 runs ahead or 10 runs behind. He played the same every time.
I mean, the guy bowled over a catcher in an all-star game that meant absolutely nothing back then to try to win the game.
Fosse, that was Ray Fosse.
Ray Fosse, there you go, yeah.
Ray Fosse. I was actually a kid, but I watched that game. I was watching that game with my dad that day. And, yeah, Pete Rose, you do cut bad for Ray Fosse, but, damn, that's the game. That's how it's supposed to be played, you know? I mean, I'm sorry Ray Fosse's the hell in the handbasket after that game, but that really wasn't Pete's fault. He was playing hard.
And to me, that one single play almost kind of sums up the kind of player that Rose was in general, because it was an exhibition game.
Everything was important. There wasn't any game that was important, and that's why he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Right. And you know what happened? They'll wait for him to die, and then they'll put him in. They're not going to let him enjoy it.
An honorary thing. I'm not denying Pete did some things he shouldn't have done, but Pete was one of the hardest players in the game. Give him a break, man.
But I'm also probably one of the few, probably in the minority, of thinking that there also should be a spot in the Hall of Fame for the PED era type, like McGuire and Sosa and those guys, you know.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've got to put an asterisk. I mean, you're going to have to do something. But, I mean, they did something for the game. McGuire was a great player before and after the juicing. I mean, as much as I hate this guy, to be honest with you, Jose Canseco was a great player, you know. I just hate the person he became. But I don't know if that has anything to do with his baseball ability. So my argument for Pete Rose has to go across to everybody. If we're talking about baseball ability, we just have to start letting folks in that deserve to be there.
Right. And that's kind of where the
out. You know, if we're going to talk about personality quirks and various other things, we need to kick Ty Cobb out because he was an asshole. I mean, if you look up any history about Ty Cobb, there isn't any player you can find that says anything nice about him. I mean, he was a known racist. He wasn't a nice person to be around. He was just an all-around jackass. but he's in the Hall of Fame because he was a great player. So let's just let everybody in that deserve to be there.
Right. Yeah.
Or kick everybody out that has personality quirks. You know, if your line is racism, well, let's kick Ty Cobb out. Let's keep Pete Rose out. Let's keep everybody out that doesn't follow specific standards. But how about those specific standards listed so we're not guessing who gets there and who doesn't?
Right. No, but yeah, I would go with that.
And that's my rant. See, sometimes my head's going and I can't stop. Anyway, as we wrap up this video, Todd, how about some final words about that beer you're drinking? Any changes did it make as it warmed up for you?
Yeah, it definitely got a little more of the peach, more of the fruity notes in it coming out. Kind of lost a lot of the skunky smell that I initially got when I first popped it open. It's very light, kind of crisp. It's not too bad. Like I said, it's not in my wheelhouse. It's not something I would seek, but I can't bash it either. At the same time, I don't think it's a terrible beer. Would I pick up a 6-pack of it if they sold them individually? Probably not, unless you could buy it for $4 a 6-pack or something. Maybe. I think it'd be a decent picnic, grilling, party type drink because it is only 4.9, so you could drink. You can session them and still be able to walk afterwards. So not bad. It's the first one I've pulled out of the Beer Camp collaboration series. Could have been worse, could have been better, but it was okay.
So this is Tom the Beer Whisperer. I'm finishing this weird Hefeweizen from Horny Goat. I mean, it's not one I would buy, but again, I won't say it wasn't worth the $5 a 6-pack, but it was an odd beer for me. So we have that if you can get a good price on the Beer Camp, buy it. If you have to pay $20 for it, a smart person walks away. A pretentious beer guy buys it anyway. Brags about it on the internet that he got it for $30 a 6-pack. And Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. Anything else, Todd?
Nope, not that I know of. Not that I can think of, anyway.
Folks, let Pete in. He deserves to be there. Nobody played harder. Just ask Ray Fosse if you can find him. We'll talk to you later.